Hey, this is Jay with ProGrade Card Services, and today we're going to do some pre-grades. We're going to talk about what it takes to look over and examine a card before you submit it for grading, and what we're going to use is our ProGrade scale. So we're going to look at surface, and we're going to mark everything up that we see on paper. We're going to look at the corners and assess any sort of damage, look at the edging, and then in the centering, we'll take measurements, and then we'll see what we have for subgrades based on how egregious or non-egregious the damage is. We'll do the same for the back because it's very important. Most damage is actually on the back of the card. So it's always important to take a look at the whole condition of the card. That way you can then move forward with peace of mind. All right, so we're going to start off today with a Jackson Holiday rookie auto, which is fun. All right, so we're going to start in the bottom left corner and look for any sort of damage, and we're going to work our way up the edge, and there's definitely some on the sidewall, and then we're clean there. We've got a little bit of corner damage, and corner damage also equates to edging damage, so you got to take that into consideration. All right, so the top edging looks okay, a little bit up at the top here. And then our corner looks clean. Coming down, we got some edging issues on the side. And then we've got some corner damage on the bottom. And what it looks like is like it was pushed in or, creased in. All right, so then now what we're going to do is we're going to scan up the top of the card, and there's a print line that runs from the side right into the middle of the mem, towards the mem. And then we're going to scan down. All right, so we've got some extra damage down here, and we've got a little bit on surface. The auto is not worth submitting because it has a white streak in the top of the J, and so that would come back a 9 as a result. The rest of the auto looks clean. Okay, so based on the surface, we definitely have some issues, so I'm going to say a 9 on the surface. Corners had some issues, so I'm going to say a 9. Edging definitely has some issues, so I'm actually going to drop that to an 8. And then centering, we're going to take a measurement, and you can definitely tell it's off-centered left to right. And their PSA has the new grading standards of 55-45 over their old ones of 60-40. So it's important to take measurements. And sports cards are 3 millimeters around, and so anything that is different shows you that it's off-centered. So for an example, this one is a 2 on the right, and 2 is never a good sign for sports cards. 4 is sometimes by design, but most of the time it's an error as well, so that's a 4 as well. All right, and then our top looks like traditional 3s, more like a 2.5. All right, and then our bottom then should be a 3.5. All right, so we have a 2.5 on top and a 3.5 on bottom. So we are definitely off-centered. So I'm going to go an 8 there, and I'm going to say a 7.5 just based on how egregious everything was. I'm just going to go 1 peg lower just to indicate how bad it was. And then here we definitely have some issues on the surface already starting us off. And then we have some corner damage. So we are sitting at least an 8 with how pretty bad severe it is. We've got a pretty big streak line, not a print line, but more of like a damage line. The way I like to refer to is as like if you've ever seen bark beetles, the impression they make on the inside of bark, it kind of looks like that, like something was digging through there. All right, so then corners were pretty bad, and edging was bad, mostly because the corners were bad. and centering is not that bad, especially on the back. So I'm going to go a 9.5 by 8. So I'm going to go pretty hard on this one. I'm going to actually say a 5.6. I took 2.5 full points off for the front and 2 points off for the back. So that warrants a pretty big drop down. So I'm going to say a 5.6 for this holiday. All right, and I would not recommend the auto, as I said. So I'm going to put auto 9 and not recommend the auto because of that white streak. All right, so our next one up, we have a beautiful one here, partial to my heart. We have a Salvador Perez Bobby Witt Jr. dual auto. That is sick. Salvi's auto has some whitening, so that's a concern, where Bobby's auto is pretty clean. So even though one is clean, if one has issues, it can still drop the whole auto grade down. All right, so starting off, we have some damage in our bottom left corner. And we have some damage in our top left corner. We have slight damage in the top right and damage in the bottom right. So we're gonna get hit pretty hard for corners. Where we don't think about corners too is corner, 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 and one little weird edge right there that adds an extra corner. But then there's extra edges and corners here as well. So when you do memorabilia, you got to take that into consideration. All right, so we have five, 4, 4, and 5. So 5, 5, 4, and 4. Not crazy. Should be within their guidelines. So I'm not going to go hard. It's not spot on, so it's not a 10. Edging, we had some corner issues, so I'm going to drop that pretty down hard. Maybe even an 8. Let's go an 8. And then surface was clean. I couldn't find, oh wait, I'm sorry. My bad. I shouldn't have said that. There's a decent line there. I overdid the line, but it's again just almost like if something had crawled through or if someone had just dug like a straight line through. That's exactly what's there. And it actually extends. And it's right over a focal point, which is his face. All right, so I'm going to hit that pretty hard. So I'm going to say a 7.5 again for the front. I just don't like the 2 8s together. Back has corner issue. It looks okay. A little bit of surface. And then that looks fine. We have some residue on the corner, edging over here, excuse me. It's surface and edging though. The rest doesn't look too bad. So we're gonna go hard on the surface. We're gonna say 8.5. Corners, we're gonna go 9. Edging, we'll do an 8.5 on, and centering's within guidelines, so we're going to say 9.5. Guidelines for back centering is 70-30. They didn't make any change on it, at least I didn't see. So if anyone saw a difference, let me know. But otherwise, front is now 55-45, and back still pretty generous, 70-30. Hopefully they drop that down or change it. All right, so 8.5 for the back. Warren's quite a bit off. I'm going to say a 6.7 for this one. And the auto would be a 9 based on the whiteness of the tail for Salvi. And that's where a lot of the whiteness comes from, I've found, is always the extra tail or flare that people put on their auto. It's not necessary. Wimby's is the worst, by far the worst. All right, so that was a fun one. All right, so next one up we have a Celebration, and these can be very sensitive in terms of their surface. Anything chrome is going to be sensitive in terms of their surface, but the shinier and more refractive, especially the more acetate, the harder it is to maintain a clean surface. There's definitely fingerprints here. Most of them came off, thankfully. A little bit of dotting. Corners look clean. There's a little bit of a line. Actually, longer bit of a line, excuse me. We got another little spot. We got a bad corner. Unless that's his shirt. I'll have to look that one up to know more. It just definitely seems abnormal. All right, and the rest is more just dotting. All right, so we're gonna go a 9 on the surface, a 9 on the corners, 9 on the edges, and we have 2 millimeters on top. So as I already said, 2's not a good number, so that indicates that it's most likely off-centered. 3 millimeters should be standard, so anytime you see a 2, that means the 4 is usually at the bottom. But if we went all the way up to the actual serial number, we'd be looking at a 6. So I'm going to give that one a 9, and overall I'm going to give this card front an 8.5. A lot of 9s. I could probably give it an 8 and be okay. Back looks pretty clean. There's a few little lines. All right, so we're going to go 9.5 on the surface. Corners looked clean, edging looked clean, and centering is within realm. So I'm going to say 9.5. All right, so the biggest question mark on this one is going to be this little spot. On whether or not that's his t-shirt or if that's some sort of peeling. Doesn't look overtly damaged, so I'm going to say an 8-9 is going to be my guess. Devers. All right, so we have a Shohei coming up. So corner has a little bit of whiting, very light, nothing egregious. Bottom looks clean. Corners look clean. And the edging looks clean. All right, so surface now. All right, surface looks generally clean. I can't see anything overt. So I'm gonna give that a 10. Corners had a little bit, 9.5, 9.5. And then we have a 3, a 3, a 4, and a 4. So that one's a 9.5. It's off-centered. I don't think, maybe they will. That's pretty notably left to right. I'm trying to think of their new standards. So I'm going to just say a 9 and give this a 9.5 overall for the front. If they go hard on that centering, that's where that 9 will come into play. But let's see if there's anything else on the card, and there is. So this is where they could also get you. There's some dotting as if someone went heavy with a pin and just created a ton of pinpoints in a small little area. All right, so we got 9 corners, 9, 5. They're just slight, and centering is within realm. So I'm going to say an 8, 9 on this one, mostly based on this. But the centering is also kind of a question mark for the front now, with it being 55, 45. Previously, that would have been no hesitation. It's when it's like more than 2 points away, like the 2, 4, where it's when it's 3 or 4, 3, 4, it's only 1 point away. All right, so we're gonna do 2 more cards for this video, and then we'll call it there. I've got Shohei up. Oh wait, that was the Shohei. So, all right, so our next one, we got out of Topps Chrome. Shohei. And there's the ultraviolet. There it is. All right, so we are starting with the bottom corner. Looks clean, edging looks clean, but right there we can see a little dimple mark. And there's a little bit of a faint line. Yeah, a little bit of a spot, a little bit of fraying. Nothing egregious. Got another little faint line. Got a little bit of fraying. All right, now let's take a look at our surface. All right, surface doesn't look too bad in the focal point area. So then let's go surface 9, 9, 5, based on the 2 issues on the side that were not egregious. Corners didn't have too many concerns, just a little bit of fraying. Edging, just a little fraying. Centering, let's take a look to see what we have. We have a 3, a 4.5, a 3, and a 4.5. That's weird. You don't see many 4.5s. All right, so one thing to also look at, and let me just do a quick check. Sometimes cards can be diamond, and they can be angled. That's also 4.5. I can't get that right out. Give me one. And that's also 4.5. Okay. And where one side is a little heavier than the other, and that can impact it pretty bad. So I should have kept that up. Okay, so this one, centering is wonky for sure, but it at least fits 4, 5, 4, 5, 3, 3. So I'm going to say a 9, 5. It's 9, 5. There's just something screaming 9 about this card, though. And right there, that actually solidifies it. There's a giant print line that turned into one of those like deeper ravines, like little bark beetle tunnels. All right, so I usually go pretty hard on those, so I'm going to go an 8 there. Corners don't look too bad, a little bit down at the bottom. So I'm going to say 9, 5, edging 9, 5 as a result. Centering does look a little heavy top to bottom, but I think that's actually the design, so I'm going to say 9, 5. 8, because it really doesn't matter. It's not going to impact the overall card. So I'm going to say a 7, 8, and a lot of it's based on this line that runs the length of the card. All right, so we have one more ultraviolet, Ellie. All right, so we also have that heavy, again, heavy up here. So this one looks like the 4 or 5 before that we had with Shohei. This one looks significantly larger than, sorry, I should have brought that up. Significantly larger than the Shohei. And we definitely have a huge line going right across. That's pretty noticeable right from the get-go, right across his chest. What is that? How much is that? 5. And that makes the bottom a clean 4. All right. And then we added the 3 and 3 on the sides. Oh, I did that wrong. So that's 5, 4, 3, and 3. Okay, so with the surface, we're going to have 8, 5. Corners are generally clean. A little bit of concern on the top right. So we're going to say a 9, 5, 9, 5. Centering, I'm going to go hard on. I'm going to go an 8. I'm going to drop that pretty heavy. I'm going to go 8 for the front. Back has a pretty nasty gash. And it has some corner issues. All right, so I'm going to go hard on that. Corners, I'm going to go hard. Edging as a result. And centering is within realm. So I'm going to drop this one down to a 5, 6. 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and it warrants how extreme this is and how extreme this is, warrants 2 full, and then how extreme this is and how extreme these are warrants probably another 2. At best, I would say this might get a 7. All right, so that was our pre-grade sesh. When ProGrade submits their pre-grades, our high number, what we think it'll come back as, returns back 62% of the time matching. The low number, what it could be if they go hard on everything, comes back matching 22% of the time. So 84% of the time, our numbers match. When they don't match, it's the 13% of the time that the grading company goes higher than what we would have gone. But we got to go make sure from the educational standpoint, we address the whole condition of the card. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and keep on watching.